Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Friday, January 14, 2022, brought to you by Wilkin Depot, the country's leading home improvement and construction supplies retailer. Shop conveniently 24/7 with the Wilkin online store. Just go to shop.wilkin.com.ph. For today's editorial, playing the anti-vaccination game, Novak Djokovic, the world's top men's tennis player, has ignited a firestorm ahead of next week's Australian Open. The 34-year-old Serb arrived in Melbourne early this month to defend his Open crown. A victory will give him his 21st singles Grand Slam championship and assure his place in tennis history. But even before he steps onto the court in Melbourne, Djokovic is finding his quest for glory under siege. His visa was promptly cancelled for arriving in Australia without a valid exemption for the country's vaccination requirement. A judge subsequently ruled that he could stay after his lawyers argued that he was unfairly treated while being detained for several hours by Australian immigration authorities. Djokovic may have won at that point, but he could have double faulted onto the next one. Last Wednesday, he did not immediately isolate after testing positive for COVID-19 in Serbia last month. He also apologized for submitting a false travel declaration, but claimed it was a human error on the part of a member of his support team. Djokovic is one of the few elite athletes who have, for one reason or another, refused a COVID vaccination. In this case, it's because he wouldn't want to be forced by someone to take a vaccine to travel or compete. He joins other sports superstars like Kyrie Irving of the NBA's Brooklyn Nets, who were revered as poster boys by the anti-vaxxers. In Serbia, where only half of the population is fully inoculated, Novak, as he is referred to, is a national hero. He also has detractors, to be sure. A Serbian government epidemiologist accused Djokovic of creating misconceptions. He was raked over the coals on social media after photographs showed him at various events, often unmasked and around children. But the cheers have always been louder than the jeers. Hordes of fans love him because he is a superb, exciting, and intense tennis player. The controversy swirling around Novak Djokovic's participation in the Australian Open casts a hard light on the lingering reluctance to accept science as the cornerstone in the fight against the coronavirus. The fight is made more difficult because misinformation about vaccines continues to spread and gains more traction when it is amplified by opinion leaders and influence shapers who enjoy a large following. Sports heroes fall into this category. To their followers, they are larger than life and their feats overshadow their faults. But the athletes and their fans are only a part of the problem. Sports organizations and institutions need marquee players to beef up ticket sales, broadcast viewership, and advertising deals. The organizers of the Australian Open had given Djokovic a medical exemption so he could join the tournament, even if it is apparent that he had tested positive for COVID recently. Without him, gate and viewership revenues would not be as hefty. Other sports organizations are also bending the rules to accommodate top-tier players who firmly reject being jabbed. Irving and Andrew Wiggins of the Golden State Warriors are banned from playing in New York, San Francisco, and other NBA venues that require mandatory vaccination for professional athletes, but they can take to the hard court anywhere else. Will the NBA give the same privilege to the 95% of players who are fully vaccinated? 95% of the top 100 men's tennis players are fully vaccinated. And here's Djokovic, who is opposed to jabs and whose health status is suspect, getting the green light to compete. It is heartening to note, however, that there are athletes who took a COVID shot not just because their playing career depended on it. One of them is Brazilian Thiago Monteiro, who is 89th in the world tennis rankings. Monteiro said his decision to get vaccinated had nothing to do with the Australian Open and it was a matter of protecting himself and others. But I know that a lot of people around the world are looking at us, he said. If we really have the power to influence them, let's make sure it's in a good way. Now that is a real sports hero. And that's the editorial for Friday, January 14, 2022. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the Voice of the Times.